Welcome back. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on Newsx. Our big focus this hour. India and the US have sealed the mega deal we were all waiting for. But what is the trade deal and what does it mean for India? We know that US tariffs on India have reduced significantly to 18%. We know that India has agreed to move to reduce tariffs on US goods. Union Commerce and Trade Minister Piyush Goyal has revealed that it was a Trump-Modi phone call that sealed this deal. He also confirmed that India's concerns around farmers and dairy sector have been respected. India and the US will now release a joint statement detailing the trade deal. What Trump wants is clear. He wants India to not buy Russian oil and buy US oil and potentially Venezuelan oil. He also wants India to buy $500 billion worth of US goods. Now, of course, here's what the Union Commerce Minister had to say on this deal today as well. He had, of course, given a statement in detail on the agreement reached by both sides.
यूएस ट्रेड डील में भी भारत के जो सेंसिटिव सेक्टर्स हैं, एग्रीकल्चर को लेके, डेयरी को लेके, उनको संरक्षित किया गया है। हमने पूरे देश भर से आई हुई खबरों को देखा, चारों ओर उल्लास है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपने मित्रता के रखते प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप के साथ जो उनके आत्मीय संबंध है, उसके मद्देनजर जो ट्रेड डील यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के साथ फाइनलाइज की है, वो हमारे सभी पड़ोसी, सभी आसपास के देश, सभी जो देश हमारे साथ स्पर्धा करते हैं, उन सभी देशों में सबसे बढ़िया डील भारत को मिली है। Opening up huge opportunities for our labor-intensive sectors, export. $140 crore Indians are celebrating a trade deal which is under final stages of detailing between the negotiating teams of both countries. We will be shortly issuing a joint statement by both countries along with the details which we will be shortly inking between the United States of America and India. भारत में नई आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी लाकर या ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन्स, ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन्स का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं, ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर्स लगाना चाहते हैं, निवेश करना चाहते हैं। अलग अलग क्षेत्र जो विशेषकर लेबर इंटेंसिव है, जिसमें लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को नौकरी का, रोजगार का साधन मिलता है, वो सब कितने उत्साहित हैं इस ट्रेड डील से।
Dr. Sharat Kohli, senior economist, is joining us live. Dr. Jaideep Bhattacharya, President CDPR, is also live with us. Rahul Ahluwalia, Founder Director, Foundation for Economic Development, is also joining the broadcast. Let me make a start with you, Sharat Kohli. The agreement has finally been reached by both sides. What the modalities of it will be revealed perhaps this week itself in that joint statement. The finer print, of course, has to be studied. But from a broader perspective, how significant is this agreement reaching its final conclusion, Dr. Kohli? And what are the implications immediately going to be for the sectors within India that had felt the hit and overall for the economy as well?
Good evening, Uday, to you, my fellow panelists and Newsx viewers. Let me answer the last part of your question first. The biggest beneficiary, me and my team were analyzing all day today, which sectors. I think textiles was coming on the top, as per my understanding. Gems and jewelry, leather, footwear, pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals, engineering goods, electronic, marine products. These were amongst the top, sectors which are going to benefit out of this 18%, which was currently under 50%. 25 of Russian oil and 25 of the reciprocal tariffs which were levied. Allow me to make a very brief comment on the Truth Social post. The four things which he said. One was 0%. That is it going to be 0%? I think when you read it again, you will find that he says we are towards 0%. So that's wishful thinking, that the deal will probably lead us to 0% at some point of time. $500 billion, I think a lot of questions raised today. The bilateral trade between India and US prior to the deal was about 120 to 130 billion dollars, a little bit here and there. And the Indian import from US, Uday, this is very important, was about 40 to 50 billion dollars, a little bit here and there, depending on year, some years less, some years more. So $500 billion import coming from America. When will we reach that number? It is 10 times, more than 10 times what we are doing right now. So that is also a wishful thinking expressed by President Trump, probably in 2035 or whenever. And we'll only import as much as we need just to fulfill the deal. We are not going to import and dump here that to reach $500 billion mark. Point number 3, Russian oil. Well, Russian oil we've reduced already, but we do rupee-ruble trade. Russia is a very old partner. Well, we are on the way to reduce it, but whether we'll be able to knock it off totally remains a question. May not be feasible. Again, I would say a positivity expressed by President Trump that India will do that. Venezuelan oil. Now, there is an oil in Texas called WTI. That is called, that oil is not sweet. Then there is Brent, the sweet oil. Russian oil is sweeter. Well, Venezuelan oil is also more or less of the category of the WTI. It is slightly cheaper also because the cost of refining that is more. It's a harder oil. So whether India will start importing Venezuelan oil, I think only time will tell. So there was a lot of speculation being made by the opposition today that has India compromised agriculture. I think that has been clarified by the Commerce Minister. Let me not reiterate that. The red line remains there. But I think overall this will generate employment today. This is going to lead to investments, improve mobility between India and the US, which was so much under pressure at this point of time, whether it is H-1B or students or general immigration, movement of people between the two countries. This is going to help, although the final details will come out, as Minister Piyush Goyal said, that in a joint statement, when the nitty-gritties are discussed, the fine print is discussed. But principally, I think it's a huge victory for India. And one more aspect before you go to my other two respected panelists, which is, I think the good thing which has happened now is this deal getting stuck for so many months made us speed up the other deals, the mother of all deals, EU. I call this as father of all deals. So we have the mother and the father both on our sides now. The mother through EU,
yes,
and the father is here.
Absolutely.
So I think it made us speed up.
And all within a week. All within a week, might I add, Dr. Kohli. All within a week. Absolutely. It's happened in a week. Okay, just stay with us. Just stay with us. Hold on for a second, because we're getting breaking news coming in also. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer has come out with a statement. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer has confirmed what Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said. Breaking developments coming in. He's come out and said India is maintaining some protection around agricultural goods. This comes after Piyush Goyal had also said earlier today that the proposed India-US trade deal will protect national interests and safeguard sensitive sectors, saying no compromise with Indian interests. Dr. Jaideep Bhattacharya, what do you make of what the US trade representative has said? He's reiterated what Commerce Minister said earlier. Of course, many of the fine print we'll only see once the joint statement comes out. But for now, the protectionism, the red lines that we had drawn out for agriculture has been respected by the US. That's what Commerce Minister said earlier of India, and now the US Trade Representative confirming that too. No compromise by India vis-a-vis agricultural goods. India has maintained some protection around agricultural goods, is what Greer has said.
Yeah, my guess is that there will be some quantitative restrictions that would have been built in. Because I don't think that India has not completely let go of the concerns on agriculture. So there must have been some kind of an agreement, because that was absolutely important. And it's also a face saver for the Trump administration. So India would have diluted the agricultural red lines a wee bit, with some quantitative restrictions. And the quantitative restrictions will be in the form of, certain amount of tons of certain products like soya and corn to be allowed to be imported in. There were also concerns around the corn being genetically modified, and therefore that is something which is not acceptable to India. So maybe some of those issues may have been addressed. But overall, the concerns of the farmers in India has been protected, and that concern is actually reciprocal because the US has the same concern for their farmers. So both ways, those red lines will be maintained, and hence, I think what the U.S. administration official just said is a reiteration of that fact. And this deal always is a give and take. One of the reasons why this deal did not go through in April of 2025, when it was slated to be signed, it was almost closed. Were these red lines? And there was a huge push from the US administration that India dilutes its stance on the agricultural part, which I don't think that it would have gone undiluted, but the dilution will be very minimal and will have a significant amount of checks and guards around it.
Okay. Let me quickly, in fact, also take that to you, Rahul Ahluwalia, on this agreement, what its significance is for both countries. What do you believe was the clincher which finally led to the announcement, the timing of it all? What can be interpreted given the fact that it comes so soon after the EU agreement? Many analysts had said, the main modalities of the deal have been done. Just the go ahead at the top was being awaited. Now that finally did come in late last night.
Yeah. I mean, the significance for us cannot be underestimated. The US is the largest market in the world. Many of our exporting sectors were hit quite badly. I think with the exception of pharmaceuticals and electronics, both of which had exceptions built into the US tariffs, all the sectors that Dr. Kohli mentioned earlier, apparel, gems and jewelry, footwear, leather, all of these were suffering quite badly because the US is the largest market in the world for almost all of these sectors. It's the largest trading partner that we have. So we should not doubt the significance of, as Dr. Kohli colorfully put it, the father of all deals. It's a very important deal indeed. I think on timing, your guess is as good as mine. Trump is one of the most unpredictable players that we have ever come across in perhaps all of history, but certainly in recent history. He's the most unpredictable person. We have absolutely no idea why he makes the decisions that he makes. It could be that the European deal, having just happened last week, has given him some amount of FOMO, as the young people call it, fear of missing out. It's given India some greater leverage. It's given us another market.
Rahul, heartburn.
Yeah, I mean, sure. There are many things that we can say, but I think, look, again, I think kudos to the Indian government. It's been a difficult time. India had some amongst the highest tariffs in the world, which is a very strange place to be for a nation that felt that we were relatively closer to the US and relatively better in terms of relationships with President Trump. But I think we've handled it with grace, and we did not create a big issue about these things, and we've tried to make it so that our strategic interests come first. And I think this trade deal being signed has put our strategic interests first. And on that, I'll just close by saying, look, I think we should not over-index this idea of red lines or trade being win-loss. Trade is win-win, right? I think our agricultural products being less protected over time is not necessarily a bad thing for us. Our farmers should be protected, right? And these are two different things. We should be able to distinguish between these. Whether Indian rice and wheat is protected is not so important. Whether Indian farmers are protected is more important. I mean, rice and wheat have not necessarily done our farmers or our country any favors, right? Our groundwater is low, our air is polluted. Our nutritional profile is not great, but our farmers need to be protected. So our policy choices that lead to rice and wheat being overproduced in our country don't need to be protected. So we should reform, we should protect our farmers, and we should not worry about the trade deal landing here or there.
Yes, absolutely. Let me, in fact, also quickly take that back across to you, Dr. Sharath Kohli. On, of course, now, the modalities of the agreement being signed. What are you going to be keenly watching out for when the finer print does come? We also have to look at what kind of rates this Venezuelan oil is going to be, which we're going to be purchasing. How much of the scale of that is going to be as well. How that is going to be refined and and then shipped out is something that our policymakers are going to look at. But also, as far as the US is concerned as well, I think the US corporates are pretty enthusiastically welcoming this agreement as well, and so are consumers there who love the Indian products but had seen a price rise. And now with that price hopefully stabilizing soon, the consumption of those Indian goods can begin to increase once again. Also, perhaps the rupee depreciation might just help competitive pricing as well further in the US.
Well, Uday, I spoke to a friend of mine in New York and a little while ago, and he had a favorite tailoring shop in Manhattan on the Fifth Avenue. He used to import those men's business suits, and he used to get a suit for about $150 or so. And he said last time when I went there last month that suit was over $225. So he said I didn't buy because he used to import specially for him, customize it for him. So I spoke to him again. I said, are you back there? He said, I'm just waiting for the next consignment to come. They're back at probably, if not 150, probably 160, 70 odd dollars. So that's the enthusiasm. You're right. Indian products very popular there, especially the textiles. As I said earlier, Tirupur has got about 1.2 million women only making ladies' tops and other ladies' garments for American brands. I'm sure those factory owners have heaved a sigh of relief. As for the oil, Uday, I would like to say that we will only import as much as we need. 87% or 86% of Indian crude requirement is being imported as of now. Well, Venezuelan oil is a very hard oil. We do have refining facility in India. Jamnagar facility can refine Venezuelan oil in terms of the technicals, the processes. But then how much we import, I think, first of all, President Trump has declared himself as the president of Venezuela, the default president of Venezuela. We need to see how things pan out politically. And he's been talking about Venezuelan oil, but whether he's actually having control over the oil entirely at this point of time, I think needs to be geopolitically examined. But I'm a bit worried, if you ask me. Deep down inside, somewhere at the corner of my heart, expressing my enthusiasm, and I wanted to go party tonight. But then deep down within, I have a bit of a concern because of, as Rahul rightly said, he's highly unpredictable. Poor South Korea had done a deal in July with 15% tariff, rushing out and doing the deal, amongst the first to do it, like running a sprint. And today, poor things, they've been slapped with 25%. Look at Europe, what happened to Europe. So I need to keep my fingers crossed as to what happens next, because anything can happen. As an economist, I was telling a platform today, this is my 23rd interaction since morning, today itself. And I was telling someone that as an economist, I get a new janam every morning because the global world order changes, geopolitics changes, geo-economic changes. So I'll keep my finger crossed. It's very difficult to make a long-term, comment on anything right now because he's highly, highly unpredictable. In our office, Uday, we have a very interesting index which my team has created. It's called the Trump Mood Index, TMI. And we actually plot that index every day. You won't believe it's more varying than the ECG chart which you print, when you take a printout. So fingers crossed is what I would like to say. I feel like going long term and talk long term, but somebody in me says, man, hold your guns. Let President Trump and his mood index settle down, Uday.
That's a new, TMI that you've coined right there. We've heard of BMI, but you've coined TMI right there. Anyways, but coming back to the other aspects now, Dr. Bhattacharya. Okay, before I get in, Dr. Bhattacharya, Dr. Sharat Kohli, since you also comment on political, sort of optics as well and political issues, what do you make of the opposition's reaction? Before I go back to Jaideep Bhattacharya on the deal, what do you make of the opposition's reaction in India? Because today, Rahul Gandhi and others have tried to corner the government on this deal as well.
Well, the opposition rhetoric. I did a lot of political debates today. Of course, I sat as an economist. But then I think it's the rhetoric. Anything good that government doesn't work for opposition. They don't like it. They feel probably Modi government might make them lose another set of elections. So obviously they have to oppose for the sake of opposing. They were questioning on the 0%, that why are you letting in at 0%? They were questioning on $500 billion of export coming into India. They were saying, what about Russian oil? Are you going to be slaves to them by importing Venezuelan oil because they say so? So all sorts of rhetoric happening. I think the press conference done by Mr. Piyush Goyal pretty much clarified that, and we need to wait for the ratification and clarification.
Okay. Now let's look at the deal and its broader implications on both sides. What will India hopes to stand and achieve, Jaideep Bhattacharya, after the finality of this agreement and the reduction of duty and tariffs? Of course, our biggest market is once again open for us at the same levels that it was earlier. To this friction. What do we hope to gain now post this agreement? And what does the US hope to gain from this agreement as well post the deal's finality?
From an Indian perspective, when we lost about $40 billion of exports to US on an annualized basis, we rushed in, the government made some swift changes, and we could recover our exports, and we actually grew in terms of exports. Now, imagine if we get this $40 billion back, that's going to be a significant increase in India's exports, and also it'll have an impact on the rupee as a currency. So the rupee was sliding, and one of the reasons it was sliding was because of the US trade kind of slipping away from India. So that is a big change, and it's almost like a double engine kind of growth, because that's a term that's now popular, because we'll have the EU market opening up, we'll also have the US market opening up. Geopolitically, there is another aspect that is getting missed out, is the fact that after the EU and the US deal, we will be at par in terms of accessing the textile industry of Europe and US in terms of Pakistan and Bangladesh, and Pakistan being more important because 60% of Pakistan's exports is textiles, and bunch of it is to Europe and to US. And therefore, with these deals, India will be able to push out Pakistani and Bangladeshi textiles from these markets, which has geopolitical implications, because the other part of Pakistan's economy is agriculture, which is obviously getting impacted with the Indus Water Treaty being kept in abeyance. So there is a significant geopolitical aspect to these trade deals. In terms of what US is going to gain, the fact that, the same things that Dr. Kohli mentioned, it'll have a damping effect on their inflation, on the real inflation. Because I suspect that what has been officially announced as the inflation numbers is probably not true, given the ground conditions. And therefore, they will be able to bring down their cost. Also, India and US are natural allies. We know that. And even as these trade issues were going on, October of last year, there was a significant military deal that was signed. In fact, from 2000 onwards, every 2 to 3 years, we're signing one or the other key military deal. So India becomes a key source of supply chain for US. That's beneficial.
Yes, Rahul Ahluwalia, I leave the last word to you on the way forward now. Hopefully, further areas of convergence post this too. Once again, our strategic defense, and security partnership should resume with more earnest as well. It has continued also, but hopefully the closeness the bonhomie should resume. Also, we're seeing a convergence as we speak on rare earth minerals. That summit is on in the US, which our Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar is attending. He's traveled there for this. Are you hopeful that those further areas of convergence will also now continue to build? What's the way forward according to you?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think these trade deals are excellent news, but we should not lose sight of the fact that our domestic competitiveness is going to be the key. We have to make a business climate that is more competitive than any other country in the world. Making in India for the world is the only way that we can truly take advantage of these deals. And that's not going to be straightforward, right? India has always struggled to manufacture in a globally competitive cost and speed. And that's not been only because we haven't had trade deals, right? It's because our local domestic reforms have not happened at the pace at which they should. The trade pressure has actually pushed the government to carry out a lot of reforms. So in the last year, we've seen a whole slew of reforms, high-level committees come up, deregulation committees come up. I think it is imperative for us to
Hello
continue
and welcome.
it is imperative for us to continue on that path, because if we do not, we will not be able to take advantage of these deals. Our regulatory ecosystem, our business competitiveness has got to be world-class. We should just focus on that.
All right. My thanks to our guests for joining us on this discussion. We've run out of time. We are turning our focus now to some breaking news coming in. An earthquake of magnitude 6.4 struck Myanmar on Tuesday, with strong tremors have also been felt